Welcome back to our St. Louis Blues rebuild in Franchise Hockey Manager 11. We're almost at the halfway point in our final season, and we find ourselves in first place of the division, and not just by a little bit, by a pretty significant amount. We played 39 games, we have 53 points, we have a decent cushion. I think we can make this work, but best part is I think we should be good to probably make the playoffs at the very least. So Kraken just on a tear this year, 33 wins, 6 losses, and 1 overtime loss. We have 25, 11 losses. We went on a slew of 2 games there of losses, and then 3 overtime losses for 53 points. Our goals for are 137 over 96, so 41 difference. Panthers are right up there as well. Our home record is 12-5-1, and our away record is 13-6-2. Shootouts 1 and 2, and yeah, we just had 1 loss there after winning 1, and then I think losing 2 straight as well. But division-wise, or we'll look at wildcard first. Yeah, and we should be good. I mean, 38 points is the next closest one. That is pretty ridiculous. 41 points is good enough to make the playoffs. So, I mean, sitting at 53, unless something crazy happens, we should be in a decent spot for that. I mean, I've seen crazier drops before, but the highlight this season is Spangberg with 24 points. He does have 18 assists and 24 goals and 42 points, and second best in terms of goals for. That is very good for us. And shockingly enough, Reinhold, our backup, 925 save percentage, is top 3 in the league. Played around the same amount as these guys. Kuda, where's Kuda? Just have to click on him. Kuda's played a decent amount, so Washington's goalie is doing pretty good as well. Despite Washington not necessarily doing as great as you would think. And then Augustin's also there in terms of goals against average. So at least our defense is kind of holding up. We did get Watson back. He's played 5 games so far. I don't know why it's projecting him to only play 10 this year. But yeah, no, he's played 5 games and 1 point there. Not necessarily great, it's not the worst, but we'll take a look at everything else. Spangberg, 42 points, Stutzel with 32, that's a big drop, and then Hagens with 30, Aaron with 26, and Dupont with 25. Martoni doing pretty decent with 24, and Stepanov with 23. But, I mean, decent, okay, I guess, but we're not necessarily producing as much as what we have in the past. Spangberg with 74 grade, Stepanov with 71, Stutzel and Kovalchuk doing pretty good at 70 as well. So anytime that's in the 70s, I am ecstatic. We'll look at goalies though. Reinhold's played 15 games, 11-3-1, 206, and 925 goals against average. I'm going to look at his grade afterwards. But he seems like he's grading pretty decently. And Reinhold's grading around a 79. Last year he's around a 78, and he had around a 934 save percentage. So the question ultimately is at one point do we value grade a little bit more? Because 72 all around is pretty much the career of Augustin, who has 14 wins, 8 losses, and 2 overtime losses. That's not actually as good of a record as what I would have hoped. We could make a crazy trade this season if we really need to bring in someone. But we'll look at our depth. We'll look at our other backup, 879. That is terrible, but we can trade him. Eager, 917, 6-5-1. That's not necessarily the best record, but he does look pretty good. Burnaby, yeah, and then Britt as well. But like I said, this is probably the last season, so we're not too concerned. We don't want to screw them over because we're going to kind of look at how well they do in seasons past afterwards. Joey Stewart now dropping in AHL as well. Herbert Hansen looking pretty decent, though. And players that are on the block, I mean, we'll look at the cap space that we have. We have Robertson, Stankoven, and we could bring back Bolduc, who seems to be doing very well. Pretty insane. Will Sharp is also available. I always like to get defenders. I don't know what it is, but we could look at some of these players. Currently, our financial situation, though. We have around 9.5 million because obviously the cap goes up throughout the season. So we have 9.5 million that we can kind of make it work, but I'm going to try and not use that for as long as possible because ultimately that would be the greatest situation for us is if we can manage to get at least 2 of those stars and kind of bolster our team just for depth. And we suffer another loss here in a row against LA, who is a pretty terrible team. We do at least get the point for overtime. Stutzel with his 14th, Spangberg with his 25th, and ultimately losing 3-2 in overtime is pretty sad. Obviously, we should be doing better at this point, but what can you really do? Yeah, LA dead last. I think Columbus is the only team that's worse than they are, but one of those 10 wins is against us, which is not a stat that you really want. It does bump us up to 40 games though, and I mean we're pretty much at half point. So even if we can kind of continue what we've been doing up to this point, we should be golden for the season. 4-3 win there, making it close again. Watson gets his first goal. Spangberg gets his 26th. Kuhl gets his 13th, and ultimately Zelezny scores in the third to push us through. Only 6 goals for Zelezny is not a good indication amongst 41 games. Yeah, I'd say overall our firepower has been at an all-time low. We're definitely more of a defensive team, I would say. As you can see, like we score more than what we concede, and even just looking at our goals against is significantly less than most of the other teams. So I know it might matter in terms of playoffs, but I mean losing the 4-3s in overtime is not necessarily the greatest. Surin available. He looks pretty decent as well, but I think Jason Robertson's the one that I really want. If we can get Jason Robertson, I will probably be happy. We tried to get him in free agency, which is why it's very odd to see him on the trade block like right off the bat. Obviously, we're going to try and get them to eat half their salary, but we'll see what you can do. We win this game 4-3 against Colorado, which is weird since I just used that as an example. Stutzel with his 15th, Spangberg with his 27th, and then Janu only with 4, eh? Geez, even him. A lot of assists, but no goals for a lot of players. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, Janu gets his 4th there. So crazy. And then shootouts, Spangberg gets the game winner, and then Hagens gets one as well. So ultimately, both kind of get the game winner. Puts us up to 58 points, 27 and 11, and we're gonna try and rely on our backup right now, at least for one of these games. I didn't realize that we're gonna have a back-to-back one, so we're facing 2 of the worst teams, I guess, in each division. So should be pretty straightforward, but it never really is. Just things here. And we do. We win 7-1, so that was easy. Spangberg with his 28th, Aaron with his 12th. Watson scores his 2nd, and then Meyer with his 7th. Kovalchuk, Dahlin, and Spangberg now with his 29th, which is pretty good. Does put him at top in terms of goals. Jason Robertson, the 2nd one, so we might make that trade now. I'm not sure what he's left wing or right wing. That could affect Spangberg, but we could get the next best goal scorer, which would help. Yeah, Spangberg's on the top left, and where is he? He plays more for left wing as well, so that could hurt us. But we might kind of go all in. We get a shutout here. Reinhold holding it down, and like I said, when we've relied on him, he's done pretty decent. Stutzel with his 16th, Zelezny with his 7th, Ivanov, Spangberg, and Hagens end up scoring also in that contest. And Spangberg getting decent in terms of assists too. He's making a case for himself for MVP for sure. Obviously, rubric with a decent amount more points, but the best of the rest is for sure out for grabs. Like I said, I tried to get Jack Hughes, but they won't trade him. We're not on one of his list, but we are 12 points clear. Stutzel now hurt day to day, and things should shift just a little bit, I'm sure. He's still gonna play though. So Vegas, Like I said, we're going to try Reinhold as much as possible. We do get a 3-1 win there. They're not doing bad. They're 500, so now a little bit worse. Stepanov with his 6, and then Nabakic with his 3rd. He's not really playing that much, and then Zelezny with his 8th. So not your likely heroes there for sure, but does put us up to 30 wins, and we seem like we're unstoppable at the moment. And as I say, that San Jose is going to be the one that ends up beating us. But we're going to rely on Reinhold. I'm going to see if he can put it to the test against this team, and then I think they'll be the deciding factor of how we see him. Point streak ended at 14. He didn't get a point there. That is devastating. I didn't even see how far it was to begin with. So, like I said, we'll trust Reinhold for this game. He seems to be absolutely on fire. And we lose that one at home, though. But 2-1, can't really blame the goalie for that. Aaron with 13, and ultimately we give up 2, and we don't even get the extra point for overtime. So we'll take a look at his grade, though. Orchovsky, no way. In case you guys don't know, Aaron Orchovsky is one of the players that we traded for Dickinson. We traded him in a first, only to see that he has become quite the demise to us. Record's not that great. He's a 500 goalie at best, but somehow still grades pretty decent. It could be that maybe the Sharks aren't as good, or they don't play their starters. So ultimately, losing that game is pretty devastating. I mean, they only have 22 wins. So second, geez, that's a huge jump. So maybe it's just the division's terrible. We have played against Kraken twice and lost, but maybe they're playing a lot of divisional games and they're just pumping it up. Martoni out with an injury day to day, so I'll have to make adjustments there. And like I said, we're going to try and go a little bit in terms of who we get here. 4-1 win there, and we'll look at the trade block for sure. Janu, Huggins, and Stepanov, and then Kuhl gets his 14th. Will Sharp getting his 9th for them. So that'll be interesting. But I think we're probably at a point where it's at least 10 million, and 10 million is a good number. We can at least get 2, maybe 3 players if we need it, and I do like that. So we'll look at least getting 1 now for this episode, and then we'll kind of focus it on closer to the trade deadline. Afterwards, obviously that being in a month and a half, which should give us a little bit more. So even if we only give up, get 5 million out of it, should be good. Yeah, 10-3, that seems like the right number. Obviously, the longer that you wait, the better that it is. Stankoven, 64 grade this year. Robertson at a 72. Yeah, we're gonna try and get him. So they want Kuhl. I don't think we're going to do that. I'm not willing to forfeit completely the future. Obviously, we want to see in the future, like we want to see how well we end up doing later on. But what do they need? Kind of jumped over that one. Need left and right defense, so we'll move him. Left and right D is not necessarily something we're stacked with. Dobson, maybe? Dobson could be one of those. We'll see what it does there. Left and right D, okay. Petrie, he's not really featuring that much for us. Left and right D, and then look at rights as well. Like I said, I don't want to give up anyone that's going to be insanely good, but I'm willing to, like someone like Forsch. And they're not even budging on that, so it doesn't even matter who I'm offering at this point. Draft picks. Yeah, as you can see, next year we don't have too many. We don't have a first for next year as well. Fourth, I don't think it's going to budge that much. Let's give up a 2. Take away the 4 so we can kind of see what... Yeah, they're not really budging. Like I said, I wish there was a button that said what... Like, I know what would make this work, but I think if there was like a value in terms of how they value picks as well, that would definitely be a big deal. Let's look more at other players that are available. Stankoven... I mean, Bulldog, yes. What did we trade for him the first time? 2 first rounders, and Shahan, or Shihan, however you want to say it. Well, I guess he was instrumental in the trade for Dolan, so I can't really get too upset about that. He was a goalie, though. Did you get a first round pick for a goalie? Jesus. Okay, let's look at what our team needs are first. And we don't really need anything, but obviously depth is huge. Look at our depth chart here. I mean, Ivanov's still playing. We'll look at our lines. And McGuffin. Okay, so lefty could be something. Left and right D, so Will Sharp could be one of those players that we want. I think it's just that our top D is just really good. So Will Sharp makes $7.5 million. That's a huge chunk. And he's not very defensive. Grade 64. Just for argument's sake, let's see how much it would cost us. If it doesn't cost us that much, we'll obviously do it. So 3.6 is probably what it would cost us in terms of cap. That's still a lot. That's way more than what I'd want to add at this point. They need goalies. That is fantastic. So Oscar Johansson could be one of those. Yeah, I think we'll do Oscar Johansson. I mean, they still want Janu and Stepanov, which I don't really want to give you. Give you a 2038 second. Apparently that's bounced, but Nabakic. But he's underrated. It feels though he's going to lose his spot anyways. But I don't know if I really want to do that. Dave McCuffin, 5-star potential. Again, don't want to do that. I think we can just get away with giving another pick. Yeah, a 4th rounder makes this work. That should be good. I know I said that we're just going to kind of see what we could get, but that seemed like a good trade. Taylor, no AHL players or divisional players. Romani could come back. No, he's not good enough. I think we'll just have to kind of monitor that. Stankoven, how much would it cost, though? No, 2 best players, not doing that. Well, but like I said, we'll monitor it, see if we can get it, get a couple trades done. 6-3 loss, though. That's rough. Kovalchuk with his 10th, Aaron with his 14th, and then Kovalchuk with his 11th. So no one really showing up for that one. Spangberg's stuck on 30, and like I said, we're going to try and get Robertson at least for the playoffs. Ideally, best case scenario is one of these players gets injured, and injured for like a month or 2. So then we can add them to our team in the playoffs, which is ideal. So playing Nashville, we will put our backup in. I know it should be the easier win. 5-4 loss, Jesus Christ. Overtime loss. We do go down 3-0 in the first. Watson gets 2 back, and then Stutzel ties it before going down 1 more. Appleby getting his 5th, and then ultimately losing in shootouts. Spangber misses and Cool misses, and they put in 2. That is rough. Oh, I thought this guy was a defender for a second. But we end up losing that game against a pretty bad Nashville team. Kind of like in real life, they still haven't done anything with their franchise. I think ultimately in real life they should get rid of a lot of players. Kind of rebuild at this point. They've been very mediocre for a very long time, and I'm curious to see who got bumped down. Ivanov got bumped down. How well was he doing? He was 62 grades, so we'll have to see. Obviously, he can come up for playoffs and stuff. Let's see, can we get the win here? 3-1. So the next game that we play against them, we do win 3-1. Clear. Why does that name sound familiar? Maybe not this franchise, but I think we had him maybe in another one, but I don't think he did nearly as good. with us. Push through that, so we'll have to go back on that. Cool with 15th, 16th, and then Janu with his 6th. I don't know why we would criticize a 3-1 win, but okay. Now we face off against Edmonton. Like I said, we'll monitor Sharp to see how well he's doing. And yeah, like I said, it does add an extra component for our lefty. It does make it so that we probably have the best defense in the league. I would say like offensive defense and as well. So I know that gets factored in. But yeah, 69 points, 9 points clear now, and they do have two extra games though. So that could be a factor. Obviously we need to win, or they need to win them for it to matter. But still 5-2 win here. Hoggins, Watson, and Aaron score, and then Cool and Nabakic. So good thing we didn't get rid of Nabakic because he is still doing well despite kind of featuring not as often on our team. Gives us 33 wins there. We were stuck on 32, or in the 30s for a bit. So hopefully we can get at least to the 40. And now Will Sharp is hurt. You know what? I'm going to move you to IR immediately. And then we'll see who can come up. Probably, yeah, or I guess Zuma is going to come up. That's interesting. I would have thought that it had been Ivavov, but more for development than anything. We do win 4-1 against the Leafs, but that's nothing to brag about. Zalesny with his 9th, Nabakic with his 5th, and then Dupont with his 4th. So defenders scoring a decent amount, actually. Zalesny then scores his 10th. 4-1 wins, pretty good. And 13 points cleared. They are 4 games extra, though. Jeez, Dallas has a good chance here. And they have 29 wins. That's nothing to laugh about. 29 wins, 17 losses, and 4 overtime losses. So I like to kind of mix in the overtime losses with the losses to kind of figure out how well the team is, because obviously a loss is a loss. 3-1 win there. So starting a little bit of a decent run against a contender too. Cool with his 18th, Martoni with his 7th, and then Meyer with his 8th. Meyer's also a free agent, so even if I retire, I will retire as soon as the playoffs are done, just so that any free agent signings or re-signings that they want to do, they can do before the new season starts. Just because I want to get an authentic reaction to it. Obviously, if we win, I could consider bringing it back for one more year. But like I said, this has been more of a disappointment for us. We've always had a decent amount of potential in terms of players, but yeah, couldn't quite get the job done when we needed to. Bunch of 2.5-star players for sure, and then players that have yet to reach their potential. So it's going to be interesting to see what another GM ends up doing, or another coach ends up doing with his team. I'm sure they can do very well though, because regular season, even that, we're doing very good. We have obviously passed our 500th win, which we'll look at in a little bit, to kind of get a better hint at it. I wish there was, I think next year, I would love for them to add this feature. If they could kind of look at for a GM or something like that in terms of their accolades and everything. So as you can see here, GM or history, it shows hired and then Adams Award. You should be able to move things for like best trades and stuff like that. How it evaluates like your big moves of your career. That would be fantastic instead of just winning stuff. But yeah, no, it should feature into that. So with that, we're gonna come just shy of 1,000 games. But I guess postseason though, we should have 1,000 games. 530 wins, 338 against. So like I said, we put on quite a run over the last couple years. The first 3 years were the worst, but we've been fairly consistent and even passing triple digits a couple times in this career. So far it's been pretty good. Just can't quite get the job done at the end. But I don't know if I was I don't know what I would do if I was an owner, if I would let go of me at this point, if we can't win in 11 seasons. But who knows really. I guess consistency really matters, but we'll still kind of monitor this here. Trade blocks, still the same people. Adam Fox, though. Interesting. I did look at him to sign him as a free agent, and we can, oh my god, we can get Adam Fox. He's 37, though. 64 grade. Okay, how much is he? 8 million, so it'd be 4 million. So we'll have to monitor that. This is definitely one of those guys that we're going to get, and we can probably give up one of our goalies for him as well. They might value it. I guess we did get rid of the other one. I didn't realize that at the time. So we did get rid of Oscar Johansson, but I could easily see ourselves getting rid of one or both of their needs to kind of make this easier. But the fact that they're willing to play ball pretty easily is pretty great. I don't know where they feature. Carolina, they're top. So this seems like a weird trade as well. I don't know why they would do that. But as things stand, we are doing pretty good. We are currently second in the league, but the best team is the Kraken. And you've seen their division. Their division is pretty bad. Yeah, 58 points is the next closest one. Obviously, yeah, ours isn't near. Ours is kind of close to that too, but then it's obviously a huge drop off after that. But no one's going to catch Kraken. Kraken have officially made the playoffs without having to do anything because they're going to finish top of the conference or the division there. So not much you can do. 23-3 at home. That is insane. So we are enjoying a 4-game win streak. Hopefully, can manage to keep it going. But I do feel as though this will be a pretty busy trade deadline for sure. So we'll come back to round out the season. Hopefully, we can get some silverware done and hoist the Stanley Cup finally. But thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and thank you for watching. Until next time.